Okay, so we're going to be going over another Lang-8 passage here. This one's called How About Say at the Beginning of a Sentence. So I'll go ahead and read it first. Sometimes I watch old American movies or movies that take place in the past. In a movie, I hear people saying say at the beginning of a sentence. I cannot think of any good example now, but I assume this say uses as how about. I might be wrong. Could you teach me what this say means? And also, do you still use this say or just used in the good old days? Thank you for your time and your help. Alrighty then. So let's just get right into it. So how about say at the beginning of a sentence? This sentence, it makes sense, um, but I know what you're asking, but this kind of words it in a weird way. So a better way I would say to say this is, I would say like, what does say mean at at the beginning of a sentence? That's a better way I would say to state that question. What does say mean at the beginning of a sentence? Well, I'll go ahead and answer that question right now. I suppose I think you're referring to an example like let me think of something. Say, isn't that nice? Um, so in that case, it's kind of like um, it's kind of almost just agreeing with, or I guess just agreeing with someone. This is kind of a weird, tricky concept. Um, so to go back to your how about, um, let's see if I can think of a better example. Um, well, I don't know if you've seen the cartoon Tarzan, the Disney movie, um, but in the scene um, when Jane is about to leave back to England, um, Tarzan says something like this to Clayton. He says, "So if I show, or if Jane sees the gorillas, she'll stay here with me." And Clayton responds with something like, "Say, that's why she came, isn't it?" Something like that. So in that case, it's kind of like you don't say like um, what it means. It's really hard to put a meaning on that. Hmm. Well, while I'm thinking of that, answer this question. And also, do you still use this say, or is it just in the good old days? I would say some people still use it. And I don't think in the good old days it was really used all that much. Um, you've probably heard it in a couple movies, but I wouldn't say that it's really that common, or that it has ever maybe been that common. Because I really can't think of any other examples where it's been used. But back to what it means. Um, it's kind of like I guess it's kind of like saying, say, what you just said has an obvious answer, like you know the answer to it. Um, like back to the Tarzan example, if Jane sees the gorillas, then she'll stay with me. So rather than saying, say, that's why she came, isn't it? Um, he could have responded with something like, well, obviously that's why he came, or that's why she came. So it's kind of maybe kind of saying like, oh, say what you said, we both know that's true. That, I guess, is the best way I can explain it. I hope that wasn't too confusing. Um, but yeah, that, I guess that's how I would explain that. Well, let's just go back into the editing then, because I did notice a few more minor mistakes in this. Um, so there's that. I hope I answered your question. Um, anyways, if I think of anything else, I'll let you know later. Sometimes I watch old American movies or movies that take place in the past. Um, this sentence, let's see. I don't initially see anything wrong with it. Old American movies or movies that take place in the past. Yeah, there's really nothing grammatically wrong with that, I would say. So I'll go ahead and leave that. In a movie, I hear people saying "say" at the beginning of a sentence. Okay, so I would say this makes sense. It makes perfect sense. But I would probably change this. Whoops. I hear people saying. No, no, I wouldn't. No. Um, yeah, I was gonna say you could take off this ing, but then I think it would probably just sound weirder. In a movie, I hear people say at the beginning of a sentence. In a movie, I hear people saying say at the beginning of a sentence. Either one of those would be fine. But you know what? I'm going to go ahead and give this a perfect because that actually makes perfect sense. I cannot think. I believe cannot is one word. Yeah, cannot is one word. I cannot think of any good example now. I cannot think of any good example now. But I assume this say uses as how about. I would say uses as. I would probably change that to is used as how about, or we can go ahead and say something like or I cannot think of any good example now, but I assume this say means how about. Either one of those would be good. But uses as, I know what you mean, but grammatically it just doesn't really sound right. Let's see. I might be wrong. Don't see anything wrong with that. Could you teach me what this say means? Well, I hope so. Let's see. Could you teach me what this say means? I'm going to go ahead and say that's perfect as well. You're doing really good, actually, here. And also, do you still use this say or just used in the good old days? That one, let's see. I would probably say, or was it? Or was it just used in the good old days? Do you still use this today? Or was it just used in the good old days? Or we can go with something like, let's copy and paste this. And do you still use it, or, blah. And do you still use this say, or, Or did you just use it in the good old days? So I would say, or did you just use it in the good old days? Either one of those, I would say, sound a lot more natural. Use this, say, or just used it, or used in the good old days. Yeah, that, yeah, see, so let's see. I believe, yeah, it says you are Japanese, so, I can kind of understand why you said that way, because in Japanese you omit a lot of things. So for the example, I used this example already today, but you can say watashi wa Jared desu. I am Jared. You can also, and then, or you can say watashi wa Jared desu. Amerikajin desu. And you don't bring up yourself again. You wouldn't say watashi wa Jared desu, watashi wa Amerikajin desu. You wouldn't say I am Jared, I am American. But in English speech, we do say that. We bring up the topic a lot more often than in Japanese. So the reason you said this is because that's probably how you would say it in Japanese, I'm assuming. You wouldn't bring it up the fact. So what I mean by this is, or just used in the good old days. You didn't say what was used. You didn't explain what was used in this half of the sentence because you already explained it in this half of the sentence. So, as English speakers, we bring it back up. We can bring up a subject sometimes 2 or 3 times in a sentence. So, and also, do you still say this, or just used it in the good old days? So it being this say, right? That would be the it. So you would need to say, or you just used it in the good old days like this, or did you just use it in the good old days, or was it just used in the good old days? So that's my explanation of that. I hope that helps. Thank you for your time and your help. I'm going to go ahead and slap a perfect on that one as well, and I think we're done. I'll leave some more notes just in case you don't see this video, but hopefully you do, and I can answer your questions.